Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's Chrissy here. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. For those of you that are celebrating Easter, happy Easter, and if you're not, hopefully you're having a lovely weekend as well. So as you can tell, I am going to be doing the immigration/expat tag. So I decided to introduce this topic to you guys from my perspective, but in a form of a tag, because then other people can join in as well. I do really enjoy going on the internet and looking at other people's experiences of being an immigrant in a different country or being an expat in a different country. Where did you live and where do you live now? I was born in Zambia, so you could say I'm Zambian. My dad's Tanzanian as well, so I've kind of lived there as well for a little bit of my life, and then I moved over to England and I've spent my teenage years here, and now I'm in my 20s. Have you experienced a culture shock in your new country, and if so, tell us a bit about it. I have experienced several culture shocks while I've been here, but the biggest one I would say is on social class. It's a topic that isn't fully discussed and open with people unless you're really close to them, and it also depends on what social group you're in, I have discovered. And also I would say social class in a monarchy society like Britain is slightly different from the way it's described in Zambia or Tanzania, which is where I'm from, so that was a learning curve for me. Another thing is social class as well isn't just defined as how much money you have or what accent you have, whether it's a posh one or not so posh one. It's a little bit more complicated than that, and I didn't know all these little intricacies until I moved over here. And now I can sort of compare that to Zambia, and basically it's slightly different, and I think for me that was a culture shock. Funny story, I would sort of ask people and say, oh, so what social class do you think you belong to? And for some people that is quite rude. They find it rude when you outright ask them, and for other people they don't mind telling you, but it's just like, it's a strange question to ask. So yeah. Another thing I will say though is a really great book that I found was this one by Kate Fox, and it's called Watching the English. It's she's an anthropologist, and I really like her approach to the way she describes basically English culture as well as social class. Which holidays do you miss the most from your previous country, and if so, tell us about them. I'm lucky in the fact that all the holidays that I did celebrate while I was in my native country, I'm able to celebrate them here as well, like Christmas and New Year, with being a Christian as well, so that's great. However, I will say that during holiday times they can get a little bit lonely, as well as just filled with a lot of nostalgia, because you're thinking, oh, you know, at this time of the year I would have this family round or that family member round. So yeah, I have missed a lot of birthdays and other important dates like anniversaries, which I kind of wish that I was there for. So yeah, that's that. See yourself as an expat or as an immigrant? With this question, I mean, recently there was an article that popped up on The Guardian, and it kind of touched on this topic, which made me want to put this question in this tag. And I feel as though with expat and immigrant, it can get a little bit touchy. I mean, when I first arrived in this country, people would describe me as being an immigrant and probably say it to my face as well, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. I didn't really think about it that much. And then when I would go and visit my family over in Zambia or Tanzania, there were certain social groups that called themselves expats. And then I looked into it, and basically the way I understand it, the word immigrant means somebody who moves over to a different country with the intention of staying there, and the word expat basically means somebody who moves over, leaving their native country to go and work. So in essence, I feel as though the two words basically mean the same thing. So it probably is just down to nuance of language. I wouldn't necessarily say that I would be offended by either words if I was called them, and for myself, I would probably refer to myself as either being an immigrant or expat. I really don't care. However, I will say that expat does, you know, have superior prerogatives, and the book that really nails it is Americana. You guys have probably heard about this book by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She absolutely hits the nail on the head. In this book, Chimamanda really explores that topic very well, and I think it's very clear and makes logical sense. Has moving abroad affected your dress sense, and how? I wouldn't say it necessarily has. I feel as though as I've grown naturally, my dress sense has sort of evolved. It is possible that it probably is influenced by the culture here, but I can't really compare that because I sort of grew up in England. But one thing I will say is that when I do visit my family, because the weather in England is so unpredictable, in one day you can have about 4 or 5 seasons at any point during the year, especially during spring, summer. So I would go over there and it's summertime, and then probably want to pick up an umbrella to go out with or a coat to go out with. I have actually done that, and they find it really strange. Obviously completely forgetting that I'm in a different climate, but that's something that I do just almost automatically because you never know. The next question, did you have a favourite meal in your country of origin, and is it still the same? Well, over the years I feel as though my palate has definitely changed, my food palate. So while I've been here, I do find certain foods more exciting and interesting. I just think in a way it's just something that happens when you grow up. So I would probably say no to that one. But at a push, I would say fruits is a big deal breaker for me being in England. Every time I go back, I'm always struck by how fresh the exotic fruits are compared to here. And that's obviously because they can't grow the fruits here, so they have to be imported. So yeah, I think that's something that I really do miss. But then my dad is really into gardening, so we do have other fruits that are indigenous to this country, especially during the summer months. We have things like strawberries, apples and brambles, so that's exciting. I really do like fresh fruit, so it's great that I can have that during the summer. I just wish I could have that all through the year. Number 7, what stereotypes have you been likened to? If so, tell us a few of them. Gosh, yeah, definitely. I have been likened to several stereotypes. Normally they generally surround my colour as opposed to where I'm from. So because I'm obviously black, people would then say, oh, black people are always late to me, or I've been likened to black people are loud. These are ones that I have personally experienced or been called. The late one, however, I will say, yes, kind of, I'm always late, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that is because I am black. It's not a causal effect. It's just, but yeah, I like to take my time when I get ready, so I end up being late, and unfortunately that stereotype has stuck with me. Other stereotypes like being loud, I feel as though I'm naturally a gregarious person, so I will be loud sometimes, but I'm not always loud, so that's something that I would probably get offended by if somebody was to say that to me, which I have had, so yeah. Are there any cultural norms or phrases from your previous country which you now can't stand? Yes, there is one really big one, and it's to do with body image. Every time I speak to my family members over Skype or go and see them, as well as friends in Zambia and Tanzania, always comment on your weight and say, oh my gosh, you look really fat, and that's supposed to be a compliment. So the more weight you put on, the better you're looking. Whereas over here, obviously it's the opposite. I'm kind of divided on this one because I don't like to be called fat, especially when I've put on weight. But then again, at the same time, when I have lost weight, I don't like to be referred to as being skinny. So I just prefer not to talk about it. So that's something that I cannot stand when I go over there, because everyone will comment on whether you've put on weight or whether you've lost weight. And normally it's seen as a good thing if you're fat, and if you're skinny, everyone is thinking there is probably something wrong. Did you have to learn a new language to fit in? If so, what is that, and how did you cope? So no, I didn't have to learn a new language, although I do speak other languages. I didn't have to learn English because I was taught in English in primary school when I lived in Zambia. So when I came over here, it was just a natural transition. However, I will say there were different phrases that I didn't understand, and idioms that are particular to certain regions of the country that I had to learn. And now it's kind of just second nature. I'll say things like okie dokie or bits and bobs, and yeah, phrases like that in my everyday life. But then I'm always struck by how different I sound when I speak to my family members. What new interests have you gained since moving to your new country? This could be anything. So when I wrote this question, I was thinking for people, it could be music taste, it could be food, it could be anything. For me, I would say it's my hobby of walking. What introduced me to this was the Duke of Edinburgh award that I did when I was at school, and I got up to gold. Yay, massive achievement. When I went to university, I literally walked everywhere, absolutely enjoyed it. I do a lot of coastal walks as well. I find walking really relaxing, and it's a great way to exercise. Do you use sounds or words from your previous country which aren't used in your new country? Definitely yes, and this happens a lot more when I am with friends who are native to this country, and then they point it out to me, because to me it just seems really normal. I have been told that I do make a lot of sounds that aren't typical of somebody who is native British, and I don't take this as an insult at all. I just find it really fascinating and quite funny actually. So I'm actually really embarrassed to do this now, but sometimes I would be having a conversation with my parents and I'll say something like That isn't just a simple yes, and it's kind of hard to explain, but people that are African and speak different African languages probably understand this. I don't know about other languages, but yeah, it means something more than just yes. It could mean yes, I went there, or yes, I did that, or yes, I was there. And yeah, with that as well, because I'm sort of negotiating languages, I only use that when I am speaking to somebody who is native to my country. But when somebody's listening in, it sounds really strange. Yeah, maybe this is where the stereotype of black people making sounds or whatever comes from, but I definitely do that. I make different sounds and they sometimes tend to mean a whole sentence. And the final question is, if you could, would you relocate again? Yes, yes, yes. All round yes, I definitely would. I absolutely love the experience of going and thrusting yourself into a completely different culture, finding out the nuances of that culture and just getting stuck in, especially if you go to a country that is completely different to yours, has different holiday system, different calendar. I would love to do that sometime in the future. I don't know when, but that is something I would definitely encourage people to do, and that I probably slash hope to do in the future. So guys, there you have it. That's my video on the expat slash immigrant tag. If you do like this video, make sure you like it, subscribe, comment below, and if you can, make a video response to this. I would very much like to listen to other people's responses to these tag questions. I'm going to put down below a few people that I tag, but this is by no means an exhaustive list. Obviously, I don't know everyone who's blogging slash YouTubing, so if you feel that you want to do this, then go right ahead. Make sure you let me know as well. Bye guys.